Hey there, Board Game Maniacs, and thank you for joining me in on another episode of Painting with a Maniac. That's right, you're painting along with me, or you're listening to me while you're painting, or you're just watching it for the sheer enjoyment. Who knows, but we are doing another episode in this series of Painting Along with Me. Now, if you've been following along, the last video, or one of the other videos that I did paint, is I painted Space Marine from the Game Workshop's game Space Hulk, and we painted him not your traditional Blood Angel color that you're supposed to paint. We actually did a little differently. We painted him with black. That's right. So we painted his armor all in black, and because of that, we're just going to continue on, and we're going to do one in a different color theme now, which is a white. So this is the one that we painted previously. You can see here. So the black theme color, all weather beaten and battle torn and everything else. And we are going to be painting in this style. The primary color is going to be white, and we're just going to build upon that. Now, all I did is I based them out with an airbrush white paint. Any white paint would do, you know, for airbrush or spray paint. Just be aware if it's not a miniature spray paint, and when you put it on, it may cover a little bit of details up. The rattle can spray paint for miniatures like Army Painters and Citadel and so on, it's a lot thinner, so it don't cover up all the details. So be aware of that. Not that you can't use any other type of spray paint. You can go nuts and use whatever you want. But that's what it is. I just based them out in white. And what we're going to try to accomplish today is this here style. I've already painted this guy up for the same game, the Space Hulk by Games Workshop. And you can see he's very, very dirty looking. And I like the dirt, like I always said. And you can see a little bit of battle damage going on here. You know, whole bunch of stuff going on. It's not very difficult to get this paint scheme. Very simple. And we're just follow along with me, or just listen to me, have a good laugh, or, you know, take it with a grain of salt. You take it the way you want it. This is content for the channel that I'm putting out there because of requests from viewers such as you, and subscribers too as well. And we're just going to go ahead and start painting along with this. First color we're going to do is the red part of the seals, and we're going to be using Mephiston Red by Citadel Paint. My voice is going today. Mephiston Red, and all we're doing here is pretty simple, and that is we are going to be painting the seals and also the lenses of the eyes too as well. And I have a little bit of this into a little cup, and it is diluted slightly, just to help for a little bit more smoothness. So again, and I'm using a super fine Army Painter detail brush, or it's actually called Insane Detail. You can see right there, Insane Detail. Yeah, so that's what I am painting with it. Pretty easy so far. You just don't want to have shaky hands for this, because shaky hands could be a bad thing. I extended the red on that lens a little bit further, so I'm just going to match it up a bit and extend this one slightly too as well. For anybody who's been following along with this Painting with the Maniac series, let me know what you think of it, because I would love to hear it, to be honest. Now, one thing here, I kind of messed up there. I have to clean that up. I just add a little bit more water, and I'm just going to take a Q-tip and dab it, just to clean that part up as much as possible. There we go. You can see that's still kind of indented a little bit more than what I wish. So just to fix it up, if I don't fix it this time, you can tell that I'm not a skilled painter. It does take me a lot of trial and error. Just fine. I don't mind trial and error. We'll do that. I will fix it up with the white afterwards. I'm not going to constantly concentrate on doing this. But in either case, I'm kind of getting off track here. I keep saying too. What can I say about this? Yes. Now, if you've been following along, you've noticed that I've been drastically changing the camera angles, the lighting setup, and so on, and I'm really liking this out of all of them. Just comment to let me know what's going on, because as time goes on, well, I read all the comments regardless, but as time goes on, I'm going to take all of your comments and your advice, and I'm going to just keep pushing forward and keep trying to, I'm going to take all of your comments and learn from them and implement them into the channel. With all of the black and red finished on this, we're getting very close to the point of where we are going to add the wash to it. Very simple, but you can see here it's a little messy, but I'm going to clean that up as we go along, and same thing with the other parts of it. But that's all the black that is added. And the next thing is we are going to be painting the ribbon part, I should say, of the scrolls, and we're using Screaming Skull for that, just like we've done in the past. And it is watered down just slightly, because, you know, just to make it go on a little bit smoother. So this isn't very difficult at all to paint. Pretty easy, actually. Now, I forgot to mention too, as well, is the name of this figure from Space Hulk. I'm just going to flip this over so I can take a look at it. And this gentleman here with the chain sword is Brother Valencio. That's who this is, Brother Valencio, if anybody is wondering. The last one I did mention the name. I probably butchered the name. To be honest, I couldn't pronounce it properly, but hey, you have to keep moving on. So you can see here, like I said, I'm just basing out the ribbon part of the seals. I see some people will, you know, they'll go as far as writing text onto them. Like, that is insane detail. I would do it, but no thank you. If you do that, I would like to see some pictures of, like, if you did any text on any of the seals. I know it wouldn't be legible because it's small. I could just scribble on a couple of black lines. I did that before and it was okay. I wasn't a big fan of the way it looked, so I would like to see other people and how they, and explain like how you did it, because again, learning, it's all a learning process, and it's good to network together so that we can learn together and just, you know, be a team. Yeah. Just like there's an I in pie, but not in team. Shaun of the Dead. I said that a lot of times in these because I like it. It's a funny line, I think. Another thing I noticed too is while recording this, hopefully you didn't pick it up, but my audio kind of crapped out onto me. And from where it crapped out, I had to voice over some of this stuff. I do know that some people who record painting, they will, you know, they'll record it all and then they'll voice over it afterwards. I don't do that. I am kind of like recording and talking on the fly, so it's less work, but apparently even with less work, it's not always going to work because, you know, Murphy's Law, things will change and fail and all of that stuff. And it definitely failed with me, but it's nothing that I can't fix, that's for sure. And I just noticed I kind of missed painting black on something, which is right here on his shoulder pad for the emblem. So before we continue on, I just clean my brush off quickly so I can finish adding the black to this part here, because we want to keep it consistent. Like, come on, people. When I say people, I mean me. I had to try to keep it the same, or at least close to the same here to what the other ones are. And if you're wondering what this is Abaddon Black Citadel paint. I mentioned before, like, what other paints do everybody use that's watching this for painting miniatures? I've used Vallejo before. I used Minotaur, Army Painter, And I liked them all. I don't think I really used a paint that I didn't like. I'm getting quiet again. Yeah, so let me know what paint that you prefer over all other miniature paint. And why do you prefer it? Is it just, you don't have to water it down, you don't have to dilute it. It's nice and smooth, very vibrant colors. Like many reasons, but just give me one. Or you can give me a full breakdown on why you choose to use that paint instead of other paint. Because I would love to hear it. Now he has the ribbon hanging over here, and he has a little other part of the seal right here. Not the seal, but the emblem, I should say. Got to make sure I capture that too as well. Like that. So now I'm going to clean the black off my brush and continue on with the Screaming Skull. So when I'm back after I paint all of the seals, I will come back with the next color application. All of the black and red and Screaming Skull is done. I added black down here because I've noticed they were gold into the picture, but we're not going exactly by the picture, but we're going to be close enough to it. So I did put some color on there, just black, because of the emblem too as well. And the next color we are going to paint is going to be Lead Belcher. Can't really see it. There we go. Lead Belcher. And we're just going to go over all of the silver parts that's supposed to be like that, like the chains and so on. So let's just go on and paint along. I think out of the miniatures that I did paint in my painting miniature career, which is very short, I must have painted a lot using Lead Belcher. I mean, like a lot of miniatures having Lead Belcher. A lot of zombies, like the guns. Not the zombies, but the survivors for like Project Z, the silver, the Lead Belcher for like bolt action and stuff like that. Like I think that is a very common color that is used in a lot of miniatures. Well, in my miniatures, that is a very common color that I always go to. And that's what I do. I do the Lead Belcher. All right, so I'm just going to keep painting on with this. I had to stop the video there for a second because my phone started vibrating and it probably was picked up on the camera, so I had to stop. And while it was stopped, I just finished painting all of the Lead Belcher, like to the part of the bolter that you can see here, his chains, his chain sword, everything else. Pretty much I painted it all that I need to, but I'm not done with the Lead Belcher because I still have to do a little bit of battle damage onto him. You can see there also I kind of painted into the vents, but I did keep it messy a little bit because once I put the wash onto it, and it's just going to make it look more worn and dirty. So having said that, we're just going to paint a little bit of battle damage, and we are using the Lead Belcher at first. And I've seen people using sponges and everything, but all I do is I'm just going to draw some lines. Just like so. Just to give a little bit of really big battle damage going on. And again, to his shoulder pad. And on top here, like it's been skid, or there's some dings on it, or what have you. And I just go around and I pick certain spots. I'm like, hey, that'd be cool to have some battle damage onto it there. So again, same with this. Could be attacked by some claws, who knows? Or the Tyranids themselves. And when I'm doing all this, I take a little bit of the Lead Belcher and I do just some very slight edge highlighting in some spots. I just dab it down a little bit just to tone it down. Like, I don't do this everywhere, but just to give a little bit more of damage going on. Make it look messy, because it is going to be messy, because this is like a battle, the battle space marine that has been fighting the Tyranid scum, and if you want to call it Tyranid scum or what have you, they've been battling for a long time and just, you know, going at it. The war just never ends. And he is just going to it. He just wants nothing more than to have them gone. Wiped off the face of the planet. Yeah, I'm just putting it on, I'm wiping it off just slightly. In some spots. Some spots I keep it on a little heavier and I don't wipe it off. Sponge, I like using a sponge too for damage, because it adds to it. But, you know, sometimes I like doing things a little bit differently. And that's just that. So same with his chainsword. Probably like just a little bit of damage there. And his fist here, I like putting some damage onto his fist. Because with them opening and closing his hand and that, he's gonna have, you know, some paint scrapes. Just like that, just a little bit, not a whole lot. Because when we put the wash, that's gonna really just bump everything up. And a little bit of the lead belcher onto his face. Just a little tiny bit. Like I got hardly anything onto this. Just like that. Just slightly. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want to be a little too overpowered. Maybe a little bit onto his feet. And back here too as well. Yeah. Nothing too drastic, just like I said, a little bit. And we're going to paint the base too as well, but I don't have to record that part because all it is based it with lead belcher. So after that's all done and dry, we're going to apply the wash. So we'll be back for that part. Everything is all dry for the lead belcher. Everywhere that I wanted to paint for the lead belcher is also finished. And the next thing to do is we're just going to apply the wash, and I did the battle damage slightly. We're going to go over again with some more battle damage after the wash is dry, but we're going to use some Agrax Earth Shade, and we're just going to apply it undiluted. And before you do this, what you might want to do is grab some Q-tips, because we're going to need them for this next step of distressing and making them look dirty. I mean, like, really battle dirty. So I got a couple of Q-tips here, and I'm just, there we go, the Agrax. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over the front of the miniature, just the front, and we are loading it up with the Agrax Earth Shade. Like, we're not applying it diluted, we're not you know, only applying it a little bit. We are really, really piling this on. And the reason why I will show you in a second. This was kind of a happy accident that I did when I was painting them, because I started painting it and I put the wash on and I'm like, oh, there's too much on this and I gotta fix it. So I grabbed some Q-tips to fix it and I'm like, hey, this actually would work really cool and it would save some time and steps. So that's what I did. So you can see he's pretty dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a Q-tip, and where I want to remove some of the wash, it's kind of like bringing up the highlights a bit, bringing out the white again for the highlights, as you can see there. So I'm just kind of going over where I want to do this. I'm being selective. I'm not stripping all of it off. Now you can do this in a couple of ways. You can do this right after you apply the wash like I'm doing, or you can apply the wash and then go, you know, let it dry and then repaint and everything else, but I'm not doing it that way. Another way that you can do this too as well is, you know, apply the wash, leave it dry for a little bit, and then after it's dry, well, not dry but somewhat dry, you can start rubbing it off in different areas just to, you know, take it down a bit. But the thing is when you do it that way, just be aware that it is going to, you're gonna have to rub a little harder, because it's a little more difficult to take off after it starts drying. So that's why I kind of like doing it this way and start stripping the wash off here and there. Whoops. Pop them right off the base there. Let's fix them back on the base. So you got the idea there. So I'm just going to keep cleaning this off with the wash from here and there, little spots. And then I'll be back and we'll do the same thing for the back. I finished applying the Agrax Earth Shade, then cleaned it off with some Q-tips. And this is only the front. I'm happy at this kind of grime level. I'm going to leave it like that to dry, and then if we turn it over, like, huge difference you can see there. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. You know, we're going to just apply the Agrax Earth Shade all over, undiluted, just load it up as much as we can or as much as we want. And then we're going to strip some of it off. Not hard at all what we're doing, it's pretty easy. And the reason why I did the front first and the back, because if you loaded up the whole thing, then you may run into where it's dry to the point that you start rubbing off the Agrax Earth Shade and you start pulling off some of the paint along with it. So it's kind of, you have to either do one side at a time, or you may, you know, just have to find that point of when you can start rubbing it off before it all pools, because you have to be quick. I'm gonna fix up the front just a little bit right there. Okay. So to the back again, you can see it. So I'm just going to take off a couple of spots here for the highlight. Again, I'm not really doing any specific part. I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it and taking off dirt. You know, taking off some of the grime where I want some of the white to really shine through. So it's not difficult what I'm doing, it's pretty easy. You know, some spots like that there, I like it pooled there. It looks like it's natural that this is what happened. And just keep going over it like this until I get to the point that I'm like, hey, you know what? I really like the way this turned out. I'm gonna stop. So you can see there, it's pulling a lot here. So I'm just gonna clean that up a bit. And you're probably gonna need a few Q-tips if you do this kind of process, because when you use a Q-tip and you're wiping off the the wash, it's going to saturate the Q-tip, and to the point that you're not going to be able to wipe anymore, because you're going to wipe and it's just going to be, the wash is just still added to it. Yeah, just going over spots. Again, it was a happy accident that this happened. I've never seen this on any tutorials. It was just something that I did myself by accident, and I'm like, hey, this actually works really good. I'm sure there's tutorials out there from experienced painters that have done this and done a lot better than what I have, but this is just me and how I'm doing it. Again, just on camera would be great. Stripping off some of the other paint. Now, not the paint, but the wash. If you always take too much off that you don't like, you can just add more to it. I would think the vents part right here would be a lot more grimier because of that. So I'm just going to add that back on there, like so. And we always got to remember that we have to add it to the base too as well. Now the base, you can add it and strip it off, like for that, or you can just leave it all on. It's again, it's a matter of choice and what you want to do here. So I'm just stripping off a little bit. It is like a space Hulk that's been, you know, taken over by gene stealers and what have you. So it's not going to be all nice, clean, and pristine. In my eyes anyhow, it's going to be, you know, a little bit worn down, battle damage and everything else. So that's it for the wash onto this. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to leave this dry, and then after it is dry, let me just take a little bit off of this part. After it's dry, we're going to come back and just add some very little highlight to a certain little bit of things, like maybe the red for the skulls, and, you know, a little bit onto the bare metal. And then that will be it for him. So we'll be back after this is dry so we can go on to the next step. You can see all of the shade, Arax Earth shade is all dry, and the grime level, I'm really liking it. So I'm just spinning this around a bit. You can see pretty dirty. So now all we're going to do is we're going to start applying some more highlights in select spots. Not a lot. We're just going to keep going with the Mephiston red that we use to paint the skulls and everything. And we're just going to paint them over with the skulls and just, you know, select spots. Nothing too big. Just in certain areas, just so that it'll bring them out again. And again, I'm not like repainting the entire areas of red, just certain little spots. Nothing too drastic there. Just like so. Pretty easy peasy. And again on the bottom. On this side. Just like that. See, I kind of messed up a little bit right here, so I'm just going to take a little bit of water on my brush, kind of wipe it off there. I kind of like it where it's got a little bit of red to it, but a little too much, I think. So I'm going to grab my Q-tip now, dry Q-tip. Just wipe it all off. So again, you can see, even though that the Agrax Earth shade is dry, even if you apply a little bit of pressure, you can still lift off some of the shade. well, that's pretty easy. So yeah, I'm going to continue going over the red here. Same with here. And this is not going to really pop out with the highlights. It's still the same color. It's just kind of cleaning up the certain areas of it. That's about all. So I want to still keep all of the griminess to it. I could just say like, hey, I'm gonna pick a different red and go over top of it. But I kind of like it that way, like it is, just so it's more subtle than anything. And that's it for the Agrax, not the Agrax third shade, the Mephiston red. So we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna do it with the Screaming Skull next. So I'm just giving this a quick shake. All right, so at the Screaming Skull, you can see like how dirty the seal is. So keep some of the dirt, but again, I'm just kind of running over it in spots just to bring it out a bit. And let's do the other one here. That. And is there any other spot? Well, his shoulder right there. Get that part too. Like so. Just to make the scrolls or the seals pop out a little bit more. I'm liking that. That's pretty simple. Okay. So now we are just going to take the last color, which is going to be Rufang Steel. It's brighter than the Lead Belcher. And we're going to go over all of the metal now, and probably a little bit over the battle damage too as well, to make some of it pop out more. Rufang Steel, you can see it right there. So again, just very little bit of paint on my brush and going over to highlight all of the Lead Belcher. See, it's kind of popping out. It's kind of like little fine lines that I'm doing, just so it's like showing that it's metal, and you get the feeling that it's metal. Same for this part of the face. Like so. Nothing too difficult here. So I'm going to continue on with doing this. And once I am finished highlighting all of the Lead Belcher with the Rufang Steel, I'll be back and show you what it looks like. I applied the Rufang Steel again. You can see to the chains and his front part of his mask, and up here too as well, just slightly. And you can see it kind of highlighted part of the clip of the bolter and his barrel. Now, for doing the metal there for the pipe, all I did is a little bit of roofing steel, and I just touched upon it slightly, just gently, just in spots like so. That way you still keep the integrity of where the shadows are. So that worked out really good. And too, as well as I highlighted part of his knuckles. And right here, we're just gonna give a little bit more of a battle damage going on. And this is all with the roofing steel. I've already did some squiggly lines. So you can see the lead belcher and then the roofing steel. I also highlighted the vents a bit with the roofing steel. And along here too as well. So a little bit more damage here I think would probably be a good idea. Just a little bit and just dabbing it off. Just like that. And I'm liking that. There's only one other step really that I'm going to do here. And I need to take them off the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the base itself with the roofing steel. And the way that I do that is it's kind of like just edge highlighting. But I'm not trying to be as accurate and gentle with it. I'm just kind of putting it on thicker in some spots than others, just to bring out the base just a little bit here. A little bit more of this. See there, I just tone it down. I like touching it with my finger or thumb. In with that. Bit of edging there. It's all pretty simple. You can see that's kind of his base. I'm happy with the way his base is now. And you can see on the back there, a little bit more battle damage going on. And you can keep adding more wash or take off some wash by using a Q-tip and rubbing it, and you know, as much as you want, you can do. But that is it. Like, I am totally happy and satisfied with this here because he is fitting along with the other themes. You can see, move that over there. So yeah, that's them. They got the battle damage onto them and everything else, a little bit more than others, and because you don't get dirty uniformly, it just don't work that way. It's pretty easy. So that's it. I am done painting this Space Marine named Brother no, that was the last one. This here is Valencio, Brother Valencio. That is who I just painted. It was Brother Valencio from Games Workshop Space Hulk. Now, the next thing we are going to paint, I'm not going to paint all the Space Marines and show you each one because it's all pretty much the same. And same with the Gene Stealers. My son is taking care of painting all Gene Stealers except for one. And I'll show you which one that he's not painting because I'm going to be doing it into the next video. And it is this Gene Stealer. He is the boss of all the Gene Stealers in the Space Hulk. And look at all the little details and everything else, and the pipes coming out. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun painting him, and that is what we're going to do next. And just remember too as well, bring this one back over, is when you are done painting your miniature, you want to seal them with some sort of sealer, because if not, the paint's going to start wearing them off, and by handling it and playing with them, playing the games, war games tonight, all your hard work and everything is just going to be gone. So as I always mentioned, I'm going to show you again. This is the type of sealer I like to use. It's Testors Aztec. It's a clear. And I just put it in an airbrush and I just spray them all. But you can just paint them with the brush too as well if you want. It's very easy. You can use whatever whatever method for applying it. Not saying that that's the only sealer you should use, because there's tons and tons of different sealers out there. This is just what I like to, after so many people showed me and told me different things, I kind of just found my own and picked that and be like, I'm going to use this one because I like this one the most. And I find it really fast because I'm using the airbrush. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this painting with a Maniac episode, where we painted this other Space Marine from the Space Hulk by Games Workshop. Next, we're going to be doing the it's not a Tyrannid, Gene Stealer. That's what we're going to be painting next. Now, this Gene Stealer that I'm going to paint next, it's a boss, so it's probably not going to follow the same painting theme as what my son have already painted. As he's been painting, I'll just show you a quick shot of this one. This is a finished one, and he painted this, and I think he did a great job onto it. I'm happy with it, and he's happy with it, and that's all what matters. And we're going to be putting this on the table, and we're going to be playing Space Hulk. He did a good job. I told him all different ways that, that he could paint it. He looked up a couple of things, and he settled on just designing one out of his head and painting it, and this is what he came up with. Great. So tune in next time until we paint the other Gene Stealer, the Gene Stealer boss. And when Brady finishes painting all of these and I paint the Gene Stealer boss, we are going to be fielding them in a battle report of Space Hulk. I'm excited for that. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, make sure you take your time and paint. And again, you don't have to follow what I do. This is just one way I paint. I'm not a professional miniature painter by no means. I just like painting. And comment down below, let me know what you thought of this video. In general, like everything, the lighting, the camera, the audio, you name it, where I could improve upon it, what parts that you really like the best, and also my painting too as well. Send me some pictures, boardgamemaniacs@gmail.com, and let me know if what you painted, the Space Hulk, Space Marines, and these guys, the bugs. They're not bugs, but the Gene Stealer and everything else, just so I know. I'd like to see different reference pictures because I really enjoy it. So until then, Board Game Maniacs, thanks for watching, and be a maniac. See ya. Boo. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.